Well, the government of Canada recently announced a $17.8 million in funding for 50 organizations in Alberta to enhance and create new tourism experiences, events, and attractions. Among the 50 organizations receiving funding, 4 are in southern Alberta, including the Waterton Chamber of Commerce, which will be receiving just shy of $100,000 to create an e-commerce strategy and digital toolkit to help its local businesses attract visitors year-round. So to discuss the developments in Waterton Lakes National Park, I'm going to bring in Suleman of he's actually the president of the Waterton Chamber of Commerce. Shamir, welcome back to Bridge City News. Great to have you on once again.
Great to have you with me today.
Okay, so before we get into the recent funding for the Village of Waterton, okay, I got to ask you about the huge HBO series, The Last of Us. So the most recent episode, I believe, was shot in Waterton, right there at the Bayshore Inn, which you own as well, right, Shamir?
Yeah.
So maybe,
yeah, it was really exciting.
Yeah, talk about having this episode shot in your community and in your hotel. What was it like?
You know, when they first approached us, we didn't realize how big a show it was going to be. We often have commercials and movies and documentaries shot in Waterton, and we don't think too much of it. So I didn't realize how big this show was actually going to be. It's huge, of course, and when they came in, they took over the entire hotel. It was really exciting to see that opening shot of Waterton in the winter, because I love Waterton in the winter. It's an amazing getaway. And to see the front of the Bayshore and how they took all the signs out, of course, put their own spin on the front of the hotel, and they used other buildings in the park. It was just exciting to see our little slice of heaven on the big screen. So it was really quite exciting. And we've had phone calls all day kind of in the hotel saying, "Oh, that was the Bayshore. We love it down there. We love Waterton," so on and so forth. So it's been really exciting for us.
That's so neat. Okay, so you're saying that they changed the signage. Did they do that in CG, or did they actually come in and do stuff physically?
No, they were there for about 3 days before.
Wow.
They actually put down fake snow, and then it snowed a foot and a half on top of poor guys. It snowed on top of that.
Yeah,
but they
you
took
don't
all
have
of
to
our
do that
signage
there.
off.
You don't have to put down the fake snow, do you?
But they took all the signage off. They put all their own signage up. They built all those sets. They built all that, everything you see inside. They built all that. So it was quite neat to see how the movies were made and how they were able to, what we see them shoot and what the final product was. How amazing it actually was.
Yeah, that's really cool. You said that they approached you. How did they even hear about the Bayshore? Had they been there kind of location scouting already?
Yeah, I think there's location scouts kind of all over Alberta, and they've shot so many other movies and TV shows that you may not know, and I may not know, because a lot of them are foreign films. So we've had 3 or 4 foreign films shot there. So location scouts know about us anyways, and if we kind of turn up, and there's nothing more perfect than an abandoned town in the middle of winter. Well, Waterton's the one, right? So it kind of worked perfect for them.
Very, very, very cool. So happy for you there. Okay, switching gears here, let's talk about the park itself and the actual town site. How many visitors does Waterton see in a year?
So we see about 550,000-ish on average a season. So quite busy for our small little area.
Okay, so your community has done very well with advertising and advocating for people to visit the town site. So where do you find the bulk of your travelers are visiting from?
So now we've kind of rerouted back away from COVID. We're kind of getting back to normal now. So we're getting back to our American visitors. We're getting back to our international travelers. The Canadian market is still there, but typically speaking in the summer, for the hotels anyways, the good chunk of our business, almost 70% would be Americans and international travel. So that's kind of come back now. We're still waiting for the Chief Mountain Border Crossing to open this summer. It's been closed since the beginning of COVID, but we're hoping that will open this year. But that's where the bulk of our business comes from, and our visitation comes from. But just to give you an idea, we see 500,000, but right across the border in Glacier National Park, they see 6 million.
Right.
Just a little piece of that comes up and sees in my opinion, the prettier part of Waterton Glacier International Peace Park.
They're both absolutely gorgeous parks,
They are.
100%. Okay, so we started this segment talking about the funding. Maybe let's talk about that. How did it come about? What was the process like? And how is it going to be useful for Waterton?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's huge. I mean, we were made aware by Travel Alberta. They're the ones that kind of told us, hey, this is available through Prairies Can, and you should apply for it. And so we went on a limb, we applied for it. Now, I want to be very specific. This money can't be used for day-to-day marketing. So what we do as a chamber, we can't replace that money with that. It's got to be sort of something, a project to enhance rural areas. So for us, we can't compete with the big budgets of Banff, Jasper, Lake Louise. We can't compete with those big budgets. Even on a digital sort of scale, I'm sure their budgets are 20, 30, 40 times the size of ours. So what it did was it did help us enhance our website. We are now just about finished uploading our 360 tours. So now guests can actually physically watch somebody walk the hikes, the views, and see those scenic things that some of them can't go on. And some of them want to see, hey, we're coming down there. What is Waterton all about? Where now you can actually walk these hikes and take 360 views from the top of Bears Hump and some of the other big hikes, landmarks, and that will be now on our site. So it'll be very interactive. So that's where the bulk of the money is aimed at, as well as shooting. I mean, just to shoot all that and have videographers and photographers come down, half the budget just went to that. Because it's something we could never afford on our small shoestring kind of marketing budget that Waterton has. But this was a big jump for us and a big help to enhance our website, to show visitors what we actually have to offer, and not just pictures. It's very interactive, which is huge for us. And then the e-commerce aspect. Hopefully, we'll have enough left over to be able to help our community with e-commerce as well.
Yeah, that's really exciting, that website, because I mean, some of those hikes are absolutely incredible. And you're right, they're not necessarily accessible to everybody. I think the Crypt Lake hike is 5 to 7 hours long or something. Exactly. I've done that one a couple times, and it's certainly one of my favorites. I think it made one of the top 10 hikes in Canada, something like that.
In North America, yeah,
North America.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal. So yeah, if you can put stuff like on there that's going to attract even more visitors there. I think a lot of people don't know about Waterton Lakes National Park. It's one of the smallest national parks, isn't it? At least in Alberta, for sure.
It is, and it's the first international peace park ever. So it's a big deal. And the one positive COVID was able to do for us is showcase Waterton to locals and to Albertans that had seen the picture but never actually ventured down. And once they did, we kind of heard, wow, what an amazing area that we have seen pictures of but never knew where it was, never heard of it, and didn't realize how amazing it was down here. So it was able to shine a light on us in Alberta locally. And then, of course, Travel Alberta has always partnered with us to help us market all over North America and Europe and abroad to maybe make a bigger destination out of the national parks in Alberta.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the funding part of it going to e-commerce. So is this funding available to all the businesses in the community?
Yeah, so the chamber is basically represents every business. So every business in Waterton is automatically a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So absolutely everybody benefits. Everybody gets access to all the images, all the video footage to be able to enhance their own websites and their own social media. So it kind of is a big trickle on something that we could never afford as a chamber, or each one of these individuals couldn't afford to bring in videographers with drones and so on and so forth. We just don't have the budget and could never afford to do that. We can afford to maintain the marketing that we do with the small budget that we have, with the help from the ID Council and Travel Alberta. So, that's sort of our ongoing funding. But this was a big boost for us, enabling us to enhance our website and really show off what Waterton is really all about.
Definitely. The Waterton Guide is always an interesting read. What can you tell us about the theme for the guide this year?
So this year's guide is, last year was all about we're back, we're open, rejuvenated. Now a lot of the park, almost 90%, there's just one little Crandall campground that Parks Canada we're giving them a little nudge to get that Crandall campground done. But other than that, everything's ready, everything's open, post-fire, post-COVID, everything's sort of up and ready to go. And for us, it's about rebirth, rejuvenation, and really showing off all that Waterton has to offer, all the hikes, all the bikes, all the biking, golfing. Our golf course has undergone a huge transformation with new ownership. Our stables were just rebuilt after the fire. That's brand new. So it's kind of that year where we're all ready, where everything's new, everything's ready to go. It's kind of like a rebirth would be that, and our always our focus on the side, and that leads us is how we're all family owned and operated businesses. That's a big thing for us. My family has owned it we're on our third generation. There's families that have been there for 100 years. Just like I always say, every business for us is known by the business owner. Every cabin has the family name on it. It's a very family owned and operated atmosphere. And that's what we always play up on is come visit us. It's a different sense of pride for us.
Absolutely. And you're right that Waterton has been hit with so many challenges lately between the fires and then, of course, COVID happened. And then it is a very seasonal place as well. With it still being winter and feeling like winter right now, can you tell us what Waterton is like this time of year? I've traveled there in the wintertime, and it's pretty much a ghost town for the most part. But it's a good one. It's a good ghost town.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful
one.
So
I know I'm different, but that's my favorite time. It's almost like, number one, you get the park to yourself. So there's no crowds. You can snowshoe, cross-country ski. Waterton's Chinooks. You can bike. You can hike. There's a lot to do. You really get it to yourself. There's 2 lodges open, the Waterton Glacier Suites and the Red Rock Trattoria, amazing Italian food. And then there's the, of course, rebuilt Kilmorey Lodge, which just reopened after it burned down several years ago. It just reopened in September. They have their restaurant, the Kilmorey Bar and Grill is in there, and they're open year round now. So with those 2 properties that are really cute, quaint, newer properties, I think dining has a very different atmosphere. And it's a great time to visit, especially when it's snowy and when the weather starts to get a little better. I just think it's a fantastic time. If you want to avoid all the big crowds and kind of be able to walk those streets, on your own, see Cameron Falls, see that lake, at this time of the year, it's just awesome.
Yeah, and then of course spring right around the corner. So, what are some tips that you have for tourists to see as winter ends and spring sort of begins?
That's a fun time. That's a really fun time because there's a lot of great hikes that start to thaw out, start to open up. Biking, I really think at this time of year, because the snow kind of comes and goes in our area, biking is an amazing thing at this time of the year. Those are the 2 kind of things that I enjoy the most. There's still a lot of snowshoeing and cross-country skiing. If you can get yourself up to Cameron Lake, oh my God, that's amazing at this time of the year. So those are the things that I would kind of push you towards. And then once all the businesses open up in May, that's a really fun time. That's when all the deals are to be had. So I always tell everyone, you want to visit Waterton? May, June, there's all sorts of deals at every hotel, every restaurant. Of course, don't forget the food festival. Everyone should mark that on their calendar. Last weekend of May. Okay. A lot of fun stuff for that as well.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Absolutely. Do leaseholders sort of see Waterton as the winter more or less is the season for opportunity for them?
That's the time that they like to go down. They like to get in their cabins. They like to, just
snuggle in
get
there
away
with a
from
fire.
It. Yeah. Got the fire going. They're able to kind of snuggle in, able to see the animals just waking up. You're able to just kind of have the park to yourself without any tourists walking around and kind of asking you tourist questions. It's that time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I just think that any time of the year, I mean, it's gorgeous. You got the Rocky Mountains covered in snow. That's beautiful. And then, of course, summertime is so much fun there with the lake open up and you can go paddle boarding and kayaking. And I, of course, love to get out there and do that as well. But Shamir, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Shamir Suleman is the president of Waterton Chamber of Commerce and the owner of Bayshore Inn.